The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nice play by Marino to pass it to himself. He lays it back. Keller across, small, shoots, and scores! Keller in the offensive zone. He has an assist here tonight. Keller on the attack, skates downhill, and scores! The captain says goodnight in Buffalo. Slap shot from Sergachev, and they score! The Mammoth tie it up. Sergachev sneaks one through, and we're tied at 2.
You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, it's time to talk some Mammoth hockey. Let's get out to the zone phone. Joining us now, of course, you see him on the Utah Mammoth broadcast. You hear him, too, on radio. He's our buddy Nick Olczyk with us on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Nick?
Guys, is that my walk-up song, the Vanilla Ice there?
Oh,
You're always on the
that.
ice.
It can be, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. I once had someone call me Vanilla Ice, so yeah, why not? That's great. So great to be with you guys as always. And how about the golden pipes of Mikey Folta there, bringing us in? Always does such a great job on the radio side, and yeah, really nice to see and hear a couple of his goal calls, and excited to be on with you guys today.
Nick, you looked more like Vanilla Spice earlier this week, eating the spicy wings. How was that?
Guys, it was brutal, man. It was absolutely brutal. I come from a household where there was very little spice put into our entrees growing up. Yeah, any hint of spice, even if I'm eating like orange chicken from Panda Express and they got the little red flakes in there, I got to toss it because I don't like sweating and needing a shower after I get done eating food. I want it to be a comfortable experience, not uncomfortable. But it was great. It was an awesome segment. I saw my life flash before my eyes once I tried the Dragon Scorpion Ghost Habanero sauce. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it is. And we had Kim and I had some fun there on the set. So I couldn't feel my face for about an hour after I ate that one, but the rest of the night ended up pretty good with the 2-1 win in overtime in Buffalo.
I agree with you, Nick. Who wants to sweat it out while you're eating? Call me a bland food
I've
fan
been
all you
eating
want.
the spiciest jalapeno chicken all week.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Hard
back
pass.
to it.
I'm with you, Nick. Hard pass.
I'm a wreck. My body's a wreck for the next couple of days too, because it's a shock to the system. It's like you're not used to eating something this spicy. But look, I know different cultures. You grow up eating spice, all that, 100%. Do your thing. But for me, that's a no shot. That is a no shot for sure.
All right, tough one last night for the Mammoth in Toronto, dropping 5-3. And we love having you on the show, if for no other reason than you're helping me learn NHL hockey a little bit better. And Ben and I are both familiar with what it's like to go back-to-back in the NBA. Talk to me a little bit about going back-to-back in the NHL, and is this one of those games maybe you can chalk up to that scenario?
Plus, I think you could also add the fact that though the Leafs have not had a great start to the year, they're still trying to find their identity, considering they're without one of the best players in the league who moved on to Vegas, that being Mitch Marner. You're not only playing a back-to-back that you went to overtime, and I know you didn't spend the entirety of overtime in Buffalo because Clayton Keller, the captain, ended the game there pretty early, but back-to-back, not a lot of travel, of course. It's only about a 25-minute flight from Buffalo to Toronto, but you're still getting in a little bit later. You're going to bed a little bit later. But the first thing that Coach Andre Tourigny and these players would tell you is that there's no excuses. But you look at that game, I think in totality, wasn't perfect from Utah, but they were still very much in the game, and it was still a game that really could have gone either way, especially when you get to the halfway point of the third period, where that's where the Maple Leafs kind of took over from there. And I just felt like one area or two areas that Utah were second best last night against the Maple Leafs were on the walls in the defensive zone is one. And that's been an area all year that they've been so good at, because if you don't win the walls in the defensive zone, you're going to end up spending a lot more time in there. Right? A 30-second shift then turns into a minute and 20-second shift. And when you just played a game the night before, that starts to wear on you, even if you are an elite-level conditioned athlete like all of these guys are on the Utah Mammoth. And by winning the walls, to me, it's who there's a little bit of a rugby scrum, or the the puck is pinned against one of the sideboards in the defensive zone in Utah's end. Who comes out with it? Is it a scramble that turns into Utah possession because they were able to outnumber the opposition or win a battle or secure a 50-50 puck that could have gone either way? Or is it the opposition that's able to come out with it quickly? And when they come out with it, there were just too many times where I felt like Utah was caught puck watching. Too many guys were in really good position. They were where they were needed to be. But when you get caught mesmerized by the puck, the game of hockey moves too fast. And some of the great goal scorers that the Leafs have, whether it be Austin Matthews or a guy like William Nylander or John Tavares, who scored his 501st career goal last night, if you don't know where everybody's at, even if you're in the right position, these guys are so skilled to the point where all they need is one quick stick handle around you or to move one way or the other to where you're not looking, and they got to look towards the net in terms of a shot. So offensively, Utah, I think they did some good things, especially early in the game, but I just felt like the game was won and lost along the walls in their own end, as well as at the net front. Because like I said, there were a couple of goals where the Leafs were able to get in behind. They were able to take advantage of a couple of Utah Mammoth players who were caught staring at the puck and not realizing what was going on around them. But credit to the Mammoth players. They were in the great position, just caught a little bit puck watching too much. Kind of like, guys, when you're driving on the highway and you're just staring straight and you go to change lanes and you don't look in your rearview mirror, and then you maybe get into a little bumper-on-bumper action. Well, that's kind of the case. So being a little bit more aware was an area that Utah needed last night. Didn't come to fruition, so they got 2 days off, and then they'll head to take on the Montreal Canadiens and then the Ottawa Senators on a back-to-back.
7 straight wins followed by losses in 3 out of 4. But they did lose to the Oilers, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, as we saw last night. And I know they don't have the best starts to the season, but do you expect those 3 teams that they lost to be in the mix at the end of the year?
100%. Those teams in particular are some of the cream of the crop in the NHL. And look, it's always great to get off to a great start, right? Sometimes it's live and die with the first 10 games. And there's the old adage that a really high percentage of teams that are either in a playoff spot or are between 3 to 4 points out of a playoff spot come the 1st of November. That's kind of the determining factor of who's going to make the playoffs. Still think it's very early for that, but look, at the end of the day, those teams, whether it be the Lightning, whether it be the Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers, I think that those teams they're too good to fail. And of course, you never know what happens throughout the course of a season. Injuries, guys have tough years. That's why the game of hockey is so difficult to predict and try to forecast exactly what teams are going to be in, which teams are going to be out. But those 3 teams in particular, guys, those are 3 of the best teams in the league, no matter whether they've had good starts or not. And for Utah, 7-game win streak, that was great. And they, as you had said, lost 3 of the 4 games out of it. Okay, well, you're going to hit a tough stretch at some point. But the thing is to not let that 2-game losing streak turn into 5 or turn into 6. And I think that's the one part of this team that, of a lot of other things, has been so impressive this year is they haven't allowed games to snowball, whether it's game to game or within the game. When they give up 2 quick goals, they're right back up on the horse. So 2 days off, then you get to go take on 2 young, skilled, high-flying teams in Eastern Canada.
So last night, Alex Ovechkin banged home his 900th goal, the most of all time. And he's, 6 in front of Wayne Gretzky. But just to give people a little perspective, Sidney Crosby, is contemporary, obviously. He has 270 more goals than Sidney Crosby, which is just wild. So I guess my question is, will this ever be broken?
Wow, that is the question. And just to provide a little bit of context too, guys, Sidney Crosby, arguably, he's a Mount Rushmore player for me, no question. And it's funny because I remember when I was a young guy running around the Penguins locker room when my dad was actually Sidney Crosby's first ever coach in the National Hockey League back in the early 2000s. I remember running around the locker room and the arena and just being in awe of Sid when he was just 18 years old. So that 200-some goals behind Ovechkin, the type of player Sid is, I would say probably more of a complete player in terms of as focused on offense as he is defense and being a center iceman. More times than not, center icemen don't score as much as wingers. So just a little bit of context there, but 100%. Those two guys will forever be connected, considering the timeline of which are going to be some of the most watched and looked back on moments really in NHL history. But will anybody ever reach 900 goals? I thought no one would ever surpass Wayne Gretzky. So for me to say it's never going to happen would be extremely naive and ignorant to say. So I'm going to say at some point, yeah, someone, I don't know who, I don't know when. Is it going to be a robot cyborg? I got no clue, guys. But I think at some point, someone will probably break it, because for as long as Wayne Gretzky's record stood for 894 goals as the most all-time, nobody ever thought it to be possible to be broken. And the great one, Wayne Gretzky, said it himself. Records were meant to be broken, and so Alexander Ovechkin, a massive congratulations to him. 900. I think I scored 900 goals on my Nick Olczyk via pro career for like NHL 12. I think maybe I scored 900 in one season because I was playing on the rookie difficult level. But no, just it's an amazing accomplishment, and something that, though I can't imagine being broken, I never thought Wayne Gretzky's record would be broken, and here we are today.
Nick, I still can't fathom as a layman that Wayne Gretzky has more assists than either Crosby or Ovechkin has total points, which is assists and goals combined. He's got more points just in assists. It doesn't make sense to me.
He is the great one for a lot of reasons, because he was so far ahead of everybody in his time, that being Wayne Gretzky. And to your point, it's amazing. If you took away all of his goals, he still has the most points all time. And I think through the whole process of Alexander Ovechkin chasing down Wayne's record, I think the coolest part about it was how involved 99 was, and how much Wayne almost kind of wanted his record to be broken, because it's good for the game. And as I said earlier, what he has said on multiple occasions, records are meant to be broken. So I thought it was so cool, not just the fact that everybody was there when he did break the record on Long Island last year against the Islanders, but just throughout the whole process, being supportive of Alex, vocally, in private, and in public, wanting him to break it, and just being there along for the ride. It was so good for the game, and that is class at its finest, Wayne Gretzky. There will never be a greater hockey player and person than the guy that wore number 99 on his back for his whole career.
So what do you think's next for this team, Nick? Do they have another long streak in them? How are they playing right now?
Look, you'd love to say let's go streaking again, but I don't think, if you get too obsessed with win streaks and losing streaks, I feel like you lose a grip on the season as a whole, right? It's 82 games. It's an absolute grind. You're going to go through stretches where you're great, where you're not great. And I've always been a big believer, guys, is that throughout the course of an 82-game season, there's going to be 20 games where you're lights out. 20 games where everything goes your way. The puck bounces your way. You get all the calls. The other team's goalie has a bad night, which helps you out, but you're just playing guns a-blazing. And then you're going to have 20 games where you might as well have left your legs at baggage claim, and you just don't have it, right? Sometimes we wake up and we just have a bad day. Okay, so you got 20 games where you're unstoppable, 20 games where it doesn't matter what you do, the puck bounces the other way. But to me, it's what you do with those other 42 games that are a grind. The other 42 games that could go either way, close games, one-goal games. A game could swing on a power play that you get halfway through the third period, where if you don't score, you probably lose the game. If you do score, you take the lead, you get some momentum, you go on to win that game. So I just feel like right now for this team, they're still very much in a good headspace. Yes, I know you've lost 3 of your last 4 after the 7-game win streak, but that the win streak wasn't going to continue on forever. They've had a tough patch in their schedule right now. They're going up against some great teams. It's going to continue to be that way. You got 2 more games on the road, then you come back home for a homestand. And let's not forget, too, these guys played a lot of road games in the last segment here of their schedule. So where do they go from here? They get right back up on the horse. You're taking on a Montreal Canadiens team, guys, who highly, highly, highly offensive. Always looking to take chances, always looking to be risky with the puck, but they give up a ton. That game has a real chance to be a high-scoring game, a 5-4 type of game, a 6-5 type of game, because especially the Canadiens, while they score a lot, they give up a lot. So for the Utah Mammoth, continuing to get back up on the horse, execute on the chances that they have, be a little bit better in the defensive zone, those will be a couple things to get back at it. But I'm not worried at all about this team, because we've seen what they've done so far and where this group is at. Yeah, the recent stretch hasn't been great, but no reason why they can't get back up on the horse to end this road trip.
He's always willing to go streaking. He's our good buddy Nick
Let's
Olczyk.
go streaking. Jake got arrested last time he said that.
Yeah,
so.
that's I can't do that I can't be a repeat offender.
We got some friends in high places around here, so
we'll be all right.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Nick, we are a huge fan of yours. Thank you for coming on with us.
I can say the same to you guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nick.
That's our buddy Nick Olczyk. Catch him on the TV and radio broadcast for the Utah Mammoth.
You should go bother him.
I'm not going to bother him. He's the toughest guest we've got.
He can't even eat spicy food. What are you talking about?
He took like a puck to the face last year.
He had Tabasco sauce and he started sweating.
I'd like you to see you call him a softy cakes to his
It
face.
is funny, for as tough as hockey dudes are, a lot of them are from the north, right? So
Correct.
A lot of them would probably fold.
Correct. They're like,
At
you
hot
put
sauce.
ground pepper on this food? You want me to die? You want me to breathe fire?
I don't.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
I know that people like spicy food, and I can handle a little bit. I'm not that person that can't handle Mexican food or something.
Yeah.
But like I saw my brother eat the spicy hamburger at Lucky 12. You ever had their spicy
13?
or Lucky 13?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Lucky 12 is a bar in Nags Head, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Lucky 13. Have you seen their jalapeno burger or whatever they call it? Have you had it?
Uh-huh.
I just watched my brother sit there and sweat for a half an hour.
Oh,
I mean, just pouring
Your
off
brother's
of
also
his
a softie. Yeah.
off of his head.
Yeah.
He's really not, though.
Apparently, he is.
I've got a funny off the mic story to tell you
Okay.
about. He's usually pretty good at these. So I just don't get it. Is my whole point.
Christian, where are you on spice?
I get teased by my family. Obviously, I come from Mexican heritage. I can't take the spice as well as some of them can.
As they
But
can.
I enjoy it. I enjoy a little bit.
I love it how this is like bowling all over again. Ben's trying to
I just
act
curious.
tough.
At some point, you're in your adulthood and you can eat spicy food. Now,
Yeah, I'll eat
the
it.
wing that Nick ate and this sauce that they put on, which is the novelty sauce. You don't order it at a restaurant. You know what I mean? It's 1,000,000 Scovilles or whatever stupid measurement it is. That's just designed to create that reaction. It's not to be enjoyed. It's designed specifically to cause as much pain as possible. Is different than just like, oh yeah, I can't have jalapenos on a burger.
Yeah. I had a buddy who used to pick up the 11s from the wing coop and would take them to wherever he was going and just hand them out to people and not tell them.
Which is cruel.
Which is funny.
If you've not had the 11, it is shocking. It's unpleasant and it's shocking.
Hey, I've got some wings. I'm not going to eat them all. You want one?
Maybe. No, you don't.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It doesn't get much bigger than this. BYU and Texas Tech, your home for the best coverage of Cougar football, is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Wednesday. We can talk a little football here, Ben, but quick shout out to, honestly, I just saw a Utah fan get on this, but BYU fans and Raider fans for raising money for a couple of really good causes. There was a GoFundMe for I guess it was the trainer for the Raiders whose wife was
a barber for the team.
Was it a barber? Was that what it was?
Whose wife had been in a car accident, and they set up a GoFundMe to raise, I can't remember what it was, 50, and they well surpassed it.
I guess they're just killing it.
Yeah.
And then I saw a story earlier that Andy Reid, BYU alum, and Patrick Mahomes, former Raider, are joining up to do a literacy fundraiser, basically, where you can donate kids' books at the tailgate if you go, but you can also donate funds, and they're kind of making a fun thing out of it. And as annoying as some fans are at points in time, this sort of thing is super cool. So I wanted to give it a little light of day because I love that part of it where you are bonding or over a rivalry or a game or this or that, but you still can keep the perspective on that there are real humans involved and these are real people who have real lives. And I don't know, I thought both those stories were really cool.
The value of sports is the community aspect.
Yes,
and this is community taking care of other communities that have maybe opposition on the field, but share the same thing, which is a love for something they're rooting for.
So shout out to the sports world and the fans in this community. Like I said, I saw on the Snap Talk, I saw a Ute fan jump on it. And so shout out to all the fans who are that stuff makes a difference.
Absolutely.
That stuff makes a real difference. Yeah.
And this is it's a saying, period, but it's very much a saying you've heard if you've been in any church locally and put away the chairs in the auditorium, as many hands make light work. You know what I mean? This is a family that needed many hands, and they got it.
All right, over-under on the Bears throwing, 250.
Over.
I think over, too,
I think he has to. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to come out. Now, that's the nice thing about adversity, and this kind of leads me to another point with BYU, which I will try and touch on if I remember to, but the adversity of losing a running back, you've talked about this a lot with the Jazz, which could benefit this team as well, this Jazz team, which is, you remember they lost Rudy Gobert for a little while, and all of a sudden the rest of the team had to play defense, and you thought, like, hey, when Rudy comes back, this whole team should know how to play defense.
It was Donovan's rookie year, and it was what was responsible for their monster run to get into the playoffs, what you're talking about. So add context.
Can you deal with adversity to develop a muscle that you didn't previously have to become a strength? And can BYU now, which has, yes, been a running team, but show that they could win a game at Iowa State. Now, I don't know if that's a good win or not. In all honesty, Iowa State apparently stinks. They've lost 4 straight, including a game to Colorado, who can't beat anybody. But you won on the road at Iowa State because you lost your running back in the first half of the game. And over the second half, you had to rely on Bear's arm. And he went out and he did it. And he overcame an Iowa State defense and willed them to victory. So can he now use that as a weapon in addition to having L.J. Martin back to win a game on the road in Lubbock, which should be BYU's toughest challenge of the year so far?
Because if Utah could have thrown the Raiders out of their run defense, that would have been a different game. So I think the Bear is going to have to – he's going to have to throw it. He's going to have to get them to loosen up and throw it.
I don't have any doubts that he can, though.
Well, doubts. There's always doubts. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, Jared Goff had a bad game against the Utes. I mean, there's always doubts, right? But I get he is capable of it.
Yeah,
maybe
it's not that there's a lack of
ability.
For. He absolutely has the ability. There's no question about that.
Right. If you would have asked me, let's see, who would be a good example from a BYU quarterback? If you would have asked me if James Lark can go hang 250 on Texas Tech, I would have said you're crazy.
Taysom, yeah.
Taysom put 250 on people, but I would not. If you ask me if the Bear is capable of doing it against Texas Tech, yes, I think he is. Do I doubt that he can do it? Yes, I have doubts. Because if the Raiders sack him 1,500 times and all of a sudden he's rattled and they still can't run the ball, then he's going to be out for a long day.
And he has, but the nice thing about the Iowa State victory that was impressive is leading up to that, the conversation had kind of been, he was not very good at Arizona. He was not particularly good at Colorado. He made mistakes in those games that I did not think showed up against Iowa State as blatantly. And if he's cleaned that up, I certainly think BYU can win at Lubbock. The point I wanted to bring up, which is it's not a criticism at all. In fact, it's what good teams are. BYU has been a little boring this year because they haven't faced as much adversity as maybe I thought they would. And they have, L.J. Martin being out, having a true freshman quarterback. Those are pieces of adversity, but they seemingly have overcome them so easily that there's not been this major question mark. I have a pretty strong understanding of what BYU is going to do going into this game at Texas Tech. It would be far more surprising if they can't move the ball at all, to me. They have been able to consistently move the ball, and when you take something away, they find another route. If you take away Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston comes up. If you need the tight ends to show up, the tight ends have showed up. If you need to pick up a 3rd and long in a hostile situation like you had against Utah, Bear Bachmei will drag you into the end zone. They just seem to have an answer for all the problems, and they seem to figure it out really quickly, which makes them, in my estimation, a little boring. But boring is good. You don't want an emergency break glass in case of emergency to have to get out of every situation. And BYU hasn't felt that way to me this year.
I'm trying to think of another word besides boring, because I know what you're saying, but every game BYU's played has been far from boring.
No, it absolutely has.
So
That's what's so funny about it.
I'm trying to figure out a word that captures what you're saying.
Because BYU's not going to beat Texas Tech by 3 touchdowns. It's not going to be boring in that sense. This is going to be a close game in the fourth quarter.
And like Arizona, the Bear, had some mistakes, but he also made a bunch of plays when he had to
the
win
Utah
the game.
game was exciting, but BYU felt
So
under
maybe
control.
like as a team, they're
contained.
Oh, I don't know. What's a better word? Uninteresting, or lacking drama?
Yeah, you're in the vein that I am.
Yeah. No, I agree with the point you're making, but to say boring makes it sound. I was like, wait, that Arizona game wasn't boring. Their games haven't been boring, but their storylines are kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bear being better than expected is a great storyline, but it's not like. I don't know. It's not like stop the presses. You know what I mean?
No, and what's been interesting about BYU this year is the problem they had last week is generally not the problem they have the next week. They just figure it out.
Well, I do think the Bear learns. Yeah, I think he's shown that much. I think that he's learned from his scenarios. And the way that they've brought him along was perfect. Shout out to the offensive coaching staff down there, because starting him slow and, avoiding the temptation to ask him to do too much, because he wanted to do more. And they're like, hold on, we're going to run 4 different plays this game.
Yeah.
And next game it'll be 6.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to the Raider game, you're going to have everything at your disposal, and hopefully you'll be prepared to use it.
Yeah. So whatever their issues were against Iowa State, which there were not a ton other than the defense.
Their issues were defense against Iowa State.
And maybe that's where the adversity is coming from, is that I thought this defense would maybe be more dominant than it has been. They have needed Bear to win games more than I expected them to. Now, credit Bear, he's been able to do it. That's a real plus for this team that I did not expect them to have when we were talking about starting a season with a true freshman, that when they were going up against Utah or Iowa State or now Texas Tech, that they would have a quarterback that could go out and win them games that was not a particularly enormous recruit in the vein that BYU has historically.
The weird part about BYU's defense, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with this take because, I'm not a guru, but it's not like it's a Mike Leach defense, not to pick on Mike, rest his soul, but you knew that defense when they didn't have Vita Vea, was just going to suck. Whether he was with the Raiders or Washington State or whatever, the defense was just not going to be very good. You could rely on it. It was consistent. It was designed that way. That's how they worked. BYU's defense has been super leaky sometimes and then super awesome others. And I don't know how, is that they're capable of more and they just let up or have mental lapses? Or you seem to suggest that Iowa State took themselves out of the game? Like it wasn't BYU's doing, it was Matt Campbell taking his foot off the gas?
Well, that's what Matt Campbell always does. So that's not a criticism of BYU.
I'm not saying that it was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you implied that was the reason for BYU's defensive lockdown in the second half. And I'm not even disagreeing necessarily. I'm just saying that like against Arizona, it was really leaky at points and then stand up at others. Utah, it was more stand-up than it was leaky, but Utah still had those 4th and short opportunities. How'd they take advantage of them? Then maybe we're telling a different story. So that's my concern about the defense is, like, it's not that it's been really bad across the board or really good across the board. It's been really bad for a minute, and then really good for a minute, and then really bad for a minute. Well, and I don't know what that says about them.
They do the weird thing, which, do you have stats pulled up?
I can.
They rely on the big play more than the consistent play.
Well, the Utah game is a good example of that.
And so was Iowa State, right? Iowa State is driving in the first half and has a chance to go up, I think it was more than 2 scores. I couldn't remember exactly if it was 24-10 at that point or where it was.
You want defense in the league or in the country?
Give me defense in whatever. Where are they in interceptions is my question.
Let's see.
In the country.
I don't know.
I think they've got 11 on the season. 12 on the season, something like that. But they are giving up an easy drive to Iowa State. And Iowa State is right at the red zone if they're not in the red zone already. And then I would have to go back and look at who even got the takeaway. It might have been Satuwala who got the interception. But regardless, and it was a terrible throw by...
Okay, national leaders, team interceptions. Do you want to just take a stab at this before I...
I'm going to say BYU's 11th.
Close, very close. They're 7th.
Okay,
tied for 7th.
Okay.
With 12 interceptions.
12. So that's a lot of takeaways. And then you look at what they've done on special teams. And they've had a lot of huge special teams play, and not just fair and kicking field goals. I mean, getting picks, or not pick sixes, recovering muffed punts and things like that. They've done a really nice job with that. Kick returns for big games to set them up for scores when they needed to, which is what happened with Parker Kingston 2 games ago.
BYU is 12th in the league in fumbles recovered at 10.
Yeah.
No, 4. Sorry.
Okay. So
10 caused, 4 recovered.
So to that point, it's not play to play. They are impenetrable. They're not. You can move the ball against BYU, but they kill drives with takeaways and then pick sixes, which just end games. A pick six ends a game, right? It's a drive that turns into points going the other direction. You get a pick six. I think Witt used to talk about this a lot. Like the odds of winning a game when you have a pick six skyrocket.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of the time because it's such a jarring shift. And that's what BYU has done. It's more about, I guess, big plays and playmaking than it is just consistent down-to-down defense. And they're still good down-to-down. And they've still got Glasker. And they've still got, Tanu Vasa. And they've still got maybe not lockdown corners, but corners that make huge plays. And that's the advantage where I think there's been some adversity.
In yards per game, BYU is 27th in the country. Texas Tech, give me a second. They are higher. They're 10th in the country in total yards per game given allowed. And believe it or not believe it or not, but just for fun, because they're right here, Utah is 17th.
Okay. What's Texas Tech in takeaways? I think it's boring to talk about takeaways as being what determines the game, but go back to the BYU-Utah game. It's what determined the game. Turnovers are the general outcome of every game you look at.
Well, turnover margin, BYU is 3rd in the country.
Again, big
at
plays.
1.25.
And they don't shoot themselves in the foot.
Texas Tech is 13th.
Okay.
At 0.89.
So these aren't teams that we should expect to see making a lot of mistakes.
No. And they're going to cause you to make some.
And whoever can cause the other to make more mistakes probably has a great chance to win this game.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned. We wrap up the show coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
It's a much-needed bye week for the Utes as they get set for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
Hey, Jake and Ben. I think the Jazz need to just get rid of Nurkic and Love. And I say that they're humans, not just get rid of them. But I cannot watch those guys play anymore this year. Put the young guys in, please. Please get them some experience. Thank you.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown. I mean, really? You know who the best team in the AFC is. It's the New England Patriots, baby.
That was Scott and then Kevin. Kevin's was funny. I didn't know.
Shyamalan, yeah, twist ending.
I didn't
see it.
I didn't know where Kevin was going. That was super funny.
I was legitimately shocked.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown.
I was shocked looking at the standings and realizing, man, 7-2. That's a good turnaround because that team has been a joke. Not a great sign for Bill Belichick apologists.
And by the way, shout out to Scott for clarifying to make sure that everyone knows he's not calling for the death of Jusuf Nurkic.
Appreciate it.
Kevin Love. Oh, they're humans. We just Just play the young
we're not
guys.
asking him to disappear. You just don't want to see him anymore.
The problem with the young guy bigs is there's not really a young guy big. So there's not really.
You just can't put Flip out there.
No, They did at times last year, and it didn't go well.
No, their young guy big is unfortunately Walker Kessler.
Yeah, right, who's not playing. So I get it because Jusuf Nurkic is not an answer, and Kevin Love is not an answer. But they don't have a young guy to play in that position.
Yeah, here's the hard part is you can get an injury waiver, but it doesn't create an extra roster spot. You have to have an open roster spot to use those injury waivers. So the Jazz will get one for losing Walker. It basically gives you some salary to spend.
To do.
You got to get rid of somebody. You've got 15 guys on your 15-man roster, so you're going to have to lose somebody, I believe, to replace them. And that means, like, you're going to waive Kevin Love? Maybe that's the solution. Maybe you get rid of Kyle Anderson, who's not in the rotation.
They'll probably be sorry to see Svi go.
But I think they like Kevin. Yeah, are you going to lose Svi? Like, are you going to trade somebody for a second-round pick? Can you trade Kyle Anderson for a second-round pick? Because you do need somebody else at that spot, because here's the other aspect of this. It loses a lot of steam if Will Hardy is yelling at all the young guys that they have to play defense if they want to play, and then Jusuf Nurkic plays 30 minutes a night and won't
even
move
run
with outside of 3 feet of where he ends up by, changing ends of the floor. He's not going to go out and contest a jump shot. He can't rotate quick enough to block a shot. So Keontae, if Bryce Sensabaugh reenters the rotation, Ace Bailey, Walt Clayton, Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Filipowski could play perfect defense, but guys are still going to get to the paint, and then Nurk is just like, well, after you, acquiesce, go ahead, take the shot. That's going to be really hard for Will to sell, so I do think they will have to find, and Danny Ainge said this yesterday on Hans and Scotty, he mentioned, well, we've got Oscar Tshiebwe on a 2-way contract. He said, we've also got Mo Bamba down there, which made me think that Mo Bamba probably is the answer.
Well, send Cody down there and.
Well, again, you can't replace him. You need to waive somebody.
Yep.
Is the hard part.
Well, we'll see.
So we'll see where the Jazz go.
Did you agree with the guy who called me a clown, Christian, that the Patriots are the best team in the AFC?
I do like Drake May. No, I still agree with you earlier that I think it's hard to top the Bills, even record-wise.
Shout out, though, to the Titans who ran Mike Vrabel out of town on a rail. Way to go. Yeah. Sometimes the coach isn't the problem.
Correct.
And Mike Vrabel did a good job with the Titans.
He's a good coach. Yeah.
I mean, if you're somewhat successful with the clown franchise, you probably know what you're doing.
Also, this is his first year in New England, right?
Second.
Or is it a second? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Second.
I think last year they had Gerard Mayo, right?
Christian,
Mike
maybe
Vrabel.
this is.
Either way.
It was Mike Vrabel last year.
It was?
I think so. Hold on. Either way, what?
I mean, it's a good job to have, halfway through the season, you have one of the best records in
2005,
the AFC.
this year.
25.
2025. I always do that.
So this is his first year.
He was with the Browns last year.
Because I knew he hasn't been with Tennessee for a couple of years. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah,
he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're the best team in the AFC yet. But you can call me a clown. That's all right.
No, they are very much in the Broncos situation. Good young quarterback. A lot of good draft picks that have paid off, it seems like, in recent years. And then you're going to need to get a little bit of experience. You generally have to lose before you win.
We have a playoff game next.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
I love it that the Donks are going to get humiliated tonight. I might actually watch.
You tune in.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown.
Stay tuned, Hans and Scotty.
Finally, we got an answer to me being a bozo.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.